crime in the Ada area over the last year, and figures show a 70% increase in thefts from vehicles, and most happening in the early hours of this morning, and most of it being the stuff inside being nicked, stuff like sat-navs, sunglasses, that sort of thing. We spoke to Ada councillor Dave Simmons, who's been a victim of car crime himself.
Unfortunately, I left a sat-nav in the vehicle, and it was taken either on my driveway or when it was outside a garage for repair. So, I'm as guilty of these things as other people, but we do need to make sure that we keep our property safe and take it out of the vehicle.
Well, today they're starting a campaign to crack down on the crime, giving advice. Let's join in. Calvin Beckford is a retired Metropolitan Police officer who runs the crime prevention website.com. Hello, Calvin. Thanks for coming on.
Good morning, Chip.
You're quite systematic about this. You've broken down thefts into three categories, and I quite like this way of doing it. So explain this to us.
Yes, first of all, there are items that you shouldn't be using your mobile phone driving around in a convertible car, but would you believe in slow traffic people have those stolen from their hands? And then there's property that's stolen from outside the vehicle, like catalytic converters, wheels, and so on.
Right, okay. So I think the thing that must be most frustrating is when you lose something which you could have taken indoors yourself.
Well, that's the crux of the matter. First of all, the good news, vehicle crime is about a quarter of it was back in the 1990s. I know you've had a spike down there in Sussex, but these things happen. But I think, and in fact, it will affect about 1 in 20 households across England and Wales. So it's a substantial amount of crime, and it's twice the chance of getting a burglary. But the most frustrating thing is it's probably the most easiest crime to not become the victim of if we take things out of the vehicle. And not only that, I think it was mentioned earlier, we've got to lock the vehicles in the first place. If you need to leave stuff in the car, put it in the boot. That's where my stuff ends up usually. But I certainly don't leave sat-navs in the car.
There's something else. I don't know whether or not this is something you can... How do you prevent things like blue badge theft we've heard of before, or tax discs being taken?
Yes, you can buy a special pocket in which those discs fit, and that sticks to your windscreen. And what happens is the plastic glues itself to the discs. So if they're stolen, you just simply can't use them. They become useless, and there's a little warning message on the pocket that tells a potential thief that that's the case. So there are solutions for just about everything. And one thing I would also suggest, if you use a sat-nav or your phone in the car, if you do forget to take it out, then at least register the thing on immobilise.com. Because that just helps the police, A, find it, but B, prosecute offenders should they get arrested.
Yeah, I think the good news bit about this story is that actually we're talking about theft of things within the car rather than the cars themselves, because I suspect we've got a little bit smarter, or at least the manufacturers have, at making things harder to nick in the first place.
Long time ago now, in the early 1990s, new requirements came in for all vehicles had to be fitted with immobilizers, and many, of course, have alarm systems. And that really, prior to the early 90s, that just was not the case. So the volume of theft of vehicles is massively reduced since the mid-90s. The big problem is the 70% of vehicle crimes which involve thieving from inside the vehicle. So, if we just keep ramming home the message and we all did what we're meant to do, we could really reduce this sort of crime.
Alan, thanks a lot. And if you want to put your hand up and say, yes, I was one of those soldiers that had something taken from inside my car, tell us what it was. 81333, start your text with the word radio.
This is BBC Sussex.
Nearly